The unknown may seem incomprehensible to us, but that's simply because we don't understand it yet. I wanted to understand. I was willing to go to the end of space to understand. Nick Croshaw.
We are wanderers, always restless, looking for greener pastures and better lives. Some of us have always been more anxious, wondering what is out there. This is the story of those explorers in the Star Citizen universe. Welcome to Galactic Historian. This is a series of videos and broadcasts where I cover the lore of sci-fi and space games and other content. Seeing as the theme of this year's CitizenCon was exploration, and with the Carrack and jump points being major attractions, I decided to look into some of the famous explorers and lore. What I found was a mixture of underhanded criminals, engineers, dreamers, and professionals. All of them their own story worth telling. Let's start with one of the most famous explorers in the Star Citizen universe. At this time, not much is known about the origins of Nick Croshaw. What we do know is that he and a team of scientists and engineers from RSI in 2261 began to investigate what was known as the Nezo Triangle, an area around Neptune's moon of Nezo where a high number of ships had been disappearing over the years. After years of research, he realized that ships passing through the area had some similar faults in their quantum drives. Recreating these faults, he discovered that these signatures caused a wormhole to open. In 2271, Croshaw took a modified experimental craft known as the RSI-X7 and made the first intentional jump through a jump point. He arrived at a new star system, took down some data, and returned alive. Upon his return, he is quoted as saying this:
"Humanity has always been told to reach for the stars. Well, it looks like we may have finally caught one."
He was heralded all over the Sol system as a pioneer for humanity. Today, he's seen as a godfather of all nav jumpers, the name given to those pilots who first chart unknown jump points. Even the system he discovered is named after him, now called the Croshaw system. Nick Croshaw remained a very public figure well after his initial discovery, with many movies and books being written about him and his life. He remained very positive about humanity's future, and always backed new projects to improve jump drives and cheapen the cost of traveling between systems. He was also full of memorable quotes and quips. You may have actually seen or heard many of these quotes before. This quote in particular came from a commencement speech he gave in 2312, before the graduating class of a space academy.
"We have become explorers again. We have resurrected mystery, discovery, and adventure."
The next explorer we'll discuss is an explorer by accident, but his contributions would send ripples across the exploration community and lead to one of the most successful government-sponsored exploration initiatives in human history. In 2412, a famed astrophotographer named Elaine Victus was doing a deep field survey about half an AU past the Vega system's Oort cloud. The type of scan he was running was very delicate and required he quote-unquote go dark and turn off his engines to ensure maximum resolution captures. However, his equipment could not get a star lock because of an unperceivable level of movement by the spacecraft. He dove into his IFCS to figure out the cause of these movements. The computer indicated that the reason for this ship's strange reaction was the fact that he was in extreme proximity of a jump point, less than 400 meters in fact. This new jump point turned out to lead to an area of space many scientists had thought would be inaccessible to humans. To add to that, the first planet was the best terraforming candidate ever found up till that point. its soil contained supernutrients that could cut terraforming down to just a few years. This chance discovery of an uncharted jump point by such an acclaimed scientist and celebrity led to a system almost handmade for terraformation. Many saw this world as divinely chosen for humanity. The system was named VIRGIL after the famed Roman writer of the Aeneid, in hopes of inspiring people to come settle this new world, to found a new future for humanity among the verdant fields and hills of Virgil I, as Aeneas did with Rome. Virgil I would become totally terraformed and colonized in a record 10 years from its discovery. Within a century, it had grown to become one of the jewels of humanity and one of the first colonial worlds to have representation in the new UPE. Considering Virgil was only the 10th system ever discovered by humanity, the rapid development of the system was insane. It would take 500 years for the Stanton system to break Virgil's record. The success of Virgil's development would lead to a new government initiative to explore and colonize space. Known as Project FARSTAR, there are two main goals. The first was to sponsor exploration efforts en masse, lending aid and supplies as well as military assets to help chart newly discovered systems. The second was to quickly support and develop the worlds of these new systems, promoting homesteading and colonial construction on them. Many of the later explorers of the UNE, UPE, and UEE would be a part of or get support from Project FARSTAR. Those that didn't were equally swept up in the exploration fever that tore through humanity, as over 21 systems would be discovered in the 25th century alone, all thanks to Mr. Wittke's chance encounter. Project FARSTAR also helped fund a little-known vid series called Galactic Historian. So if you'd like to know more, you should like this video, subscribe to us, and hit that bell notification in order to be the first to explore the latest lore of space and sci-fi universes. You can also help push the frontier by backing Galactic Historian on Patreon, where your credits go to keep us flying. One of those people inspired by this new rush was Wendell DOPSE. While not a lot is known about DOPSE personally, we do know that he had a burning passion for exploration. Contemporary science at the time claimed that it was no physical way another jump point could exist in the Sol system. Much to their surprise, Wendell proved them wrong, charting a new jump point from Sol to a newly discovered system in 2430. He named it Davian after his father-in-law. This discovery, almost 200 years after the first discovery of a jump point in the Sol system, threw everything scientists had learned about jump points into doubt, resulting in many advances in the science around spatial anomalies and leading to improvements in jump technology. The next person to be featured on our list is probably one of the shadier ones. Tar was a highly competitive nav jumper. While we don't know just how many jump points he charted, we know he didn't take chances on losing credit for his discoveries. He was always prepared for the worst. He famously said,
"A lot can change in a single jump."
On June 12, 2438, Tar was hunting down a new jump point in the Davian system. Suddenly, a contact flashed up on his scopes, and instinctively, he took a shot. Thinking that another nav jumper had been searching for the same jump point, and Vernon didn't want competition.
When you're out in the quiet for that long, any kind of ping scares the hell out of you for a second. So I checked my display and, well, it wasn't a jump point.
Luckily for humanity, Tar's shot missed, and before he took another, he discovered the ship was nothing like anything he had seen before. Realizing that he might have encountered an alien ship for the first time in human history,
after I got over my shock, I knew I was in a delicate situation. We all just stared at each other for a while.
the nav jumper shut down his weapons and immediately called the UNE-SOC, a specialized UNE Navy group that had been assembled in the case of first contact. The SOC arrived on the scene shortly thereafter to find a very irate alien, whom they nicknamed Jerry. They tried to calm him down, and he eventually allowed the UNE-SOC to record some of his speech and scan his ship. They also deployed more sensitive scanners to find the jump point Tar was investigating. They would act as an early warning system if more ships came through. The Navy convinced Tar to omit his hostile encounter from the record, spinning the story as a chance encounter in deep space. 2 weeks later, a larger fleet of alien ships arrived in Davian. It took months to break through the communications barrier, but eventually a dialogue was opened between the species. We learned that they were called the Banu, and that Jerry was actually on the run from officials in the Banu Protectorate. This may have been why Jerry didn't respond in kind to the volley off his ship's bow. Luckily for Jerry, he ended up being a hero to his people as well, becoming heralded as the Banu to make first contact with a new species. By October 2438, the Treaty of Interstellar Peace and Trade was signed between the UNE and the Banu Protectorate, establishing trade between the two species. Tar went down in history as the first human to make contact with another sentient species. Though the more sordid details came out well after his death, still, his legacy as a nav jumper is cemented in the history of humanity. Possibly the most famous explorer of the UNE, Wei-Ying Sung was only outdone by Croshaw himself in terms of impact. Song was part of UNE's Eastern Expansion Program, possibly a subsection of Project FARSTAR. His most famous discovery was that of System 342A. After extensive scans and studies of the system, Song sent the following message back to his superiors in the UNE. It was the letter that would change the direction of humanity forever.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, my current assignment is to seek out and classify new systems for prospective terraforming and exploration. The latest system, 342A, that my team and I have discovered is located in what can only be described as a confluence, a nexus. We have already discovered 4 jump points in addition to the one we entered through, with a possibility of a 5th on the horizon. I'm attaching a current map of the system in question with zones still left for scanning, as well as already discovered jump points. One of the planets, 342A.03M, is a super-Earth. Scans and scouting missions confirm the presence of naturally oxygen-based atmosphere, indigenous vegetation, vast oceans, and temperate climates. Deeper in the southern region, a scout team discovered remnants of a rock formation, indicating they were arranged that way, but we have not discovered any indication of intelligent life. In short, I'd like to suggest that 342A.03M be established as a forward operating base for terraforming and exploration into adjoining systems. The team has named the planet Terra to honor its similarities to Earth. All of our current data and finding are included in this comm packet. I invite you to see for yourself. Sincerely, Wei-Ying Song, Chief Surveyor, Engineer, Project FARSTAR.
See for themselves they did. Within 2 years of the discovery, 7 colony ships had made their way into the Terra system to start building a new home for humanity. Terra became a hub for all future exploration missions, sponsored by Project FARSTAR, and eventually the planet itself would grow to rival that of Earth in terms of political, economic, and cultural influence. The Eastern Expansion Program of Project FARSTAR continued to push out with the help of Wei-Ying Sung and his team, even discovering the Tyax system, which would become the home to the Ark, a massive space station and the home of the Galactopedia. COTHI BAT-THEL-MA is a unique addition to this list, as he actually isn't human. COTHI is a Banu and a member of the Banu Protectorate, but has become famous recently for his contributions to the UEE. COTHI is a nav jumper, cut from the same cloth as Nick Croshaw, and spends his life exploring systems. He discovered a new system in 2943, registering its discovery with the UEE. His reason was simple. He had named it after one of his favorite artists, a human math artist named Tamsa Wheel.
Beautiful. Beautiful. She find beautiful nexus of precision and chaos. It is mathematical poetry.
COTHI saw his cultural gift to humanity in the same way that humanity gave him the gift of Tamsa's art.
Very pleased for me to provide space for human friends. I hope it will fascinate and provide for you as human culture has done to me.
In an altruistic gesture, this explorer offered humanity something new that they had never been able to see before. For you see, the Tamsa system has no star at its center. It has a black hole. On top of this being the first black hole system ever discovered through a jump point, there are 2 planets orbiting the stellar anomaly, one of which it may actually support life, and is currently protected by the Fair Chance Act, which we covered in a previous episode. The explorers of Star Citizen are men and women of great renown, who continue to push the boundaries of space for humanity. They are part of an ancient tradition of humans seeking to push the unknown, a tradition we in the real world are very much still a part of. When I think of what it means to be an explorer, I remember Carl Sagan's quote from his book, Pale Blue Dot. I also think of this impactful quote spoken by astronaut David Scott during Apollo 15 as he stepped off the lunar module onto the surface of the moon.
Okay, Houston, as I stand out here in the wonders of the unknown at Hadley, I try to realize there's a fundamental truth to our nature. Man must explore.
Both of these quotes still speak to me today, and I believe speak to many of us space and sci-fi fans out there. The restless desire to explore, not because we want to, but because we must. If you feel the same way I do, I would urge you to help the exploration of our solar system right now. I have left a donation page to the Planetary Society in the top pinned comment. It is an organization dedicated to the human exploration of the solar system. Through crowdfunding, they even recently built and tested the first ever light sail powered craft, with Light Sail 2 being part of the latest Falcon Heavy launch in June 2019. So if, like me, you want to see the continued exploration of space and the space science in our universe, consider chipping in to help them out. Thanks for watching. I'd like to take this time to thank those who lent their voices to this episode. They're all content creators in their own right, and I have left the link to their social medias in the pinned comment. I'd also like to thank those who have helped chip in with our little project by subscribing on our Patreon. Those guys are on the screen now. Thank you so much. Would you like to learn more about other explorers of the Star Citizen universe? Have an idea to cover next? Well, let me know in the comments below. But until next time, remember, ex historia ad astra.